I'm stupid
Really.
sometimes. Welcome to the fourth episode of the DCEU, the show that James completely hates, and I don't know why he still continues knowing that he hates that title. It's the most horrible title, but it pisses him off, which makes him riled up to actually give some great advice. As always, we're trying to keep it locked and loaded with information. So let's get it going, Jay. I have nothing scheduled for us to talk about because I just got off work and I had some ideas in my head of what I wanted to talk about. But what was funny is like usually I write this stuff down, but this time I didn't. So we're
I
gonna
got
wing
some
it on this
stuff.
episode. Oh, you got some emotional stuff? Go ahead, let's talk about it. What are you upset about?
Yes. Nothing I'm upset about, but this time we talked, there was a big announcement that what's their face, Max, the CEOs of HBO Max was just like, look, we don't care what, and if his shows, if whatever he puts on our network hit, if it's not good, we're canceling it, and we don't care what kind of plans going on with DC. His shows need to hit like Peacemakers, like Peacemaker, uh, Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad shows. If whatever he brings to our network, if it's not on that par, then we'll be canceled, and we don't care what storyline he has to say. We
Wait,
don't
who
care
said
what
this?
how it affects uh, uh, position of how the stuff. We don't care about any of that. We are not a part of that. His shows need to be popular. So, how do you feel about that?
Um, One audio didn't come in that great for some reason, so I'm not gonna worry about it. But I think I got the gist of what you're saying, and I think what you're saying is the person from HBO is saying if the shows don't hit like Peacemaker, they're all getting canceled. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Well, yeah, each individual one, like as a whole, but they're just like, we aren't judging this as, the phase 1 that they're planning. We're judging this by each individual project. So if it isn't hitting the amount of numbers that we want it to hit, then it's going to be canceled regardless of the storyline it is.
I'm fine with that. I don't want stupid TV on just for stupid TV reasons. It's weird. Like I thought when we were gonna start streaming shows and all that kind of stuff, we were gonna get like what we truly wanted to see, but a lot of it still has been like filler, fluff, crap, things that I'm not jumping up to see. I find myself spending more time scrolling than I do actually watching something, and it's bothering me because in most cases, like you sit down to get ready to watch something, like, nah, I won't watch that. No, I don't feel like watch that. Yeah, I'll watch the episode, but yeah, I'm not into that. So, to hear that someone's trying to make sure something has quality instead of quantity is really important because I'd rather 8 amazing episodes of a show than 24 episodes, and out of those 24 episodes, 20 of them are pointless. It's kind of like what was it, Smallville? I was a huge fan of Smallville, but I noticed real quick the first 2 minutes and the last 2 minutes is what had the whole season going. Everything else in between was just filler to keep the show going with that many episodes to keep people watching. And I'm like, it wasn't needed. I People would have been upset with having 8 episodes of Smallville a season, but that would have been the people that I think that were not true fans. I think the people that were true fans wanted the hardcore get to the point. What's going on? What's happening? This constant building, and then you just get like 2 minutes of back to back talk with Lex and Clark Kent. It was annoying, but that's where the shows were back then. But here we are now, present 2023. Shows get straight to the point. You watch a show like Mandalorian, you know what's happening. Even though I have some issues with Mandalorian, I'm watching it again for the second time. Each episode, I'm like, I noticed that. Hey, I need such and such. He's like, oh yeah, I can get you that such and such, but you gotta do this first. And then he does it. They're like, oh, sorry, I really didn't know about the such and such. But if you go to this person, they'll help you with the such and such. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, how many times has this happened in this episode? Anyway, I don't even want to discuss that. Sorry. As for the Mandalorian podcast, we'll do. Not a Fandalorian. Um, so back to what I was saying is we see these shows and I want quality. I want to experience a show that just like grabs me from beginning to end and it's just nonstop. And I'm seeing that in some series, but I'm not seeing it in most. So if someone's saying, hey, if the numbers aren't there, the quality isn't there, we're gonna cancel it. I'm to the point now we're in such a cancel culture of everything right now. The TV shows is just like that's the new norm. Nothing is meant to last this long. I think people should have a contract of when you pitch a show, tell me what your season premiere is, tell me what your series finale is, and tell me how many episodes it's gonna take for you to get there, and then you should get the contract. Like, and all you get all those episodes. Don't make me wait. Why am I waiting year after year after year for when you can actually just make all those episodes, dump the whole thing out in a year and a half, as opposed to me waiting over 4 or 5 years and then be done with it? Because honestly, when you're a fan of something, you watch it over and over again. I can't tell you how many times I've seen so many movies. It's ridiculous how many times I've seen the 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 is it yeah, Peter Nolan Batman, Justice League. It's just I've watched it over and over again. When it's good, you're gonna watch it. And even if you weren't a fan of those, there are shows that you are a fan of that you will sit and watch and enjoy. That's just what it is. I don't see this point of, but I take it back. The point is, I need to get you to watch this on a weekly basis so that way we can get money and generate revenue on a month to month basis. But everybody knows the rule now, which is if you don't have HBO Max, you wait till the whole season's done and then you do the trial run of HBO Max, and then you only have a 7 day trial. You binge watch all the stuff you need to watch, and then you cancel your subscription. There's people like me that keep a subscription going. I'll keep it going as long as I can. But then there's other people who they live and die by that. Create a whole new email address. Use the VPN account to make sure that you aren't showing up in your same house or something like that, and you get yourself a free trial every single time. That's what they're doing. But if you just did something, say, hey, y'all can get this whole season of the show you've been wanting to watch, 10, 12, 14, 20, maybe $30, I don't know, and then you have the whole season and it's right there and then you're done. That's a service that I want, because then I'm getting exactly what I want. I know what I'm watching and I don't have a problem with it. If I had to pay $5 for a season, that'd be amazing, but I don't know if something would last. I think I'm talking too long about it. Back to you.
No, I know where you're coming from, but personally, I don't really rewatch things anymore. New things out there for me to see, for me to be rewatching old stuff. Even if I enjoy rewatch, know, for an analysis type of a type of really great episode, I might rewatch that specific episode over, and I really like the specific point. But I mostly only do that with anime. When it comes to just actual good content, yeah, I'll watch it, but once it's over, the same way again for me, the same way it did before, and I'm just like, I got other stuff to watch come and gone that everyone thought was incredible that I want to go and check out. There's too much for me to be rewatching shows, so I get why they try to keep people on board, and the on board system of we're gonna keep you here this season. I don't mind that as long as you have good content. I will keep coming back. I hate watching movies or reading books. That, in my opinion, it's a waste of time. I don't like these one and done storylines. I never have been. I need to know that the second I read the last chapter, if it was incredible, that there's something in the works for something to be just as incredibly good for me to experience this again. I want that, but it has to be there. The storyline has to be there. The value, the everything that you gave me in number one, I want that in number 2. And if it doesn't, if you give it to me in number 2 and you want to do a number 3, perfectly fine. But I don't want it anymore. And so I I do agree with HBO Max to a point. I get it. If the shows aren't hitting, if it's not giving us what it needs to give, then it needs. At the end of the day, um, everyone, I don't know, man. The reason they are saying this is because of the. I feel like there are certain shows and things that Marvel has dropped that has not been everything that it should be, and they knew their fans were going to eat it up. And I think that's HBO Max saying the DC universe streaming service. This we have our own content, and we have content that's going to last us. We have all this other stuff. So hey, we're not going to keep your material if you're not giving us hard hitting. That reason, I 100% agree with them, because they have got a lot of ground saying that, because it's not a race between Marvel and DC. It's not. And if it was ready, but I feel like they have. I feel like if it was a race, they can still win with quality over quantity. Because right now, Marvel and quantity issue right now. They're just throwing them out there, and it's the Thor: Love and Thunder was not good. Sorry, it wasn't. But it was not on par with everything that they have been putting out, and it was not on par with Thor in any way, shape, or form. So when it comes to DC quality issue under their belt, then they have every chance of catching up with an even less amount of content. They can beat them. But back to you.
I have a moment of silence for him not liking Love and Thunder.
I didn't like it. They got my money. I didn't go stream it. I didn't go somewhere. I was sitting in the theater when I was like, oh my gosh, look at all the
what?
plot holes.
Oh.
How are you gonna have what's the dude's name that Idris Elba played in
What's his character's name?
Yeah, what's his character's name?
Dude that died.
Yeah, like it's not Guggenheim. I thought it was Guggenheim. It's like higher something like that. But anyway, and you've seen the Thor: Love and Thunder, right?
Yes.
How are you? His son is in his room, and in his son's room, you're gonna have one of the 4, I guess, elite Titans. Titans was Thanos. So you're gonna have a poster of the wall when the Titans killed his father. How that it's okay? Number one, and then there's about that I saw where they were going, but it didn't hit. And there were certain things about that movie where you're just like, you're gonna call the entire movie the God Slayer, but we don't see him slay any gods. I don't understand. Like, I had so many issues with that, but it was not a bad movie. It was just they hyped it up. We were Ragnarok Part 2, and it missed the mark.
It says Heimdall Heimdall.
Heimdall.
Um, I gotta relook at that again. I thought it was an excellent cinematic experience of them using the technology that they use for the Mandalorian to create some of the coolest graphics I think we've ever seen um, in Love and Thunder. And I think this is totally turned into a DC, I mean, a Marvel episode. This is what happens when I don't do the research. I sat down, looked at Love and Thunder, and I saw so many people talking about how much they didn't like it. And they said because every Thor movie, there's a different narrator. And I never heard that before. They said if you watch the first Thor movie, um, the narrator of that movie is I don't remember. All I know is that the first Thor movie was narrated by one person. The second Thor movie was narrated by someone else. The third Thor movie was narrated by Thor, and the fourth movie was narrated by the Rock guy. That's why everything seems very weird and very odd because when we're seeing each version of Thor in the movies, we're seeing what other people is thinking of when they think of Thor. So Love and Thunder is not a movie we're seeing with our eyes. It's the interpretation of the Rock guy, his interpretation of how the events happened. And when you look at it from that perspective, you see a completely different story of what's happening. I think it's one of the only movies where you get to see that every movie is so different from the last one. Nothing is the same, but the only thing that remains are just the heart of the characters. And you're seeing a character for the first time that has lost everyone. Everyone. Best friend, family, mother, father, brother, um, comrades, all of them are gone. And the love of his life, you always wonder what the heck happened. And you see it happen. He lost her, only to see her again and then lose her again. While everybody else is finding love and happiness, where does he find his place? And in the midst of that, somebody decides, hey, I'm going to kill you. And then he looks to the gods that are greater than him for help. And they say, F you, we don't want to help. So he has to do something on his own for the first time without guidance from a higher power. Each movie, somebody's been able to tell him a little something, something to help him get through. This movie, it was nothing. It was just him having to figure it out on his own. Him making a promise to a bunch of kids that he's going to save everybody. It's a cinematic telling of something that's coming. The thing that I'm always impressed about with Marvel is you never get to look at a Marvel movie the correct way the first time. It bothers me because a Marvel movie is work. A Marvel movie is unlike anything I've ever seen where you truly have to dive deep into what's not seen in order to figure out what's really going on. I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and there are some people like, I don't think I like that one. Other people like, oh my gosh, I really love it. And I'm going back and forth in my head, and I'm like, something didn't add up to me. And then somebody posted something on social media on YouTube, and I'm like, that's what was wrong. And I figured it out because I didn't see it happen. It happened, but I didn't see it happen. And it went from I don't know if I like this movie to probably one of the greatest movies that ever was because it was right in front of you the whole entire time and you didn't catch it. And Marvel's well known for putting something right in front of you and making you look over here when something over here is the really important thing you need to be paying attention to. And this stuff that was set up for Kang was just done a long time ago, which is me going way off the subject now. And that's a whole different conversation because anyone that's watching this is a fan of DC and they're like, why is he talking about this when he needs to be talking about that? To get back to what you're saying, I understand why you didn't like Love and Thunder. Actually understand why you say like 99% of everything that you say. And in most cases, we're on the same page. Sometimes I disagree just to make a conversation flow. but in most cases, I hear everything that you're saying and I'm in agreement with it. A there's too much happening in the Marvel world because somebody decided higher up that whatever you want to put out, you can put out. So this is the explosion of yes, go ahead and do whatever you want to. There's a story that I need to tell, but I can't do it in the movie theater because it's not going to make the money that it needs to. So people aren't going to see it. So I'm going to put it in the show. All right, perfect. Now it's a show. There's a show that I created, and it's way better than what we thought it was going to be. So I'm going to turn it into a movie. Perfect. Go ahead, turn it into a movie. That's exactly what's happening with Marvel. These things are happening. That's why they're phases because there's so much that needs to happen to get to where we want to go. But you got to go through all these paces. DC is going to try and shorten that. And it's either going to be a reward or it's going to be a punishment. I've seen enough movies and shows to know if you don't put the right amount of oomph in something, it doesn't work, regardless. If you're gonna tell a story, you've got to put in the characters that are needed. Don't like I saw that we saw the trailer for Flash, and I'm asking myself, how many characters are in this movie? They only showed the ones we wanted us to see. Who's missing from
Exactly.
this?
They're hiding so much.
But if they're hiding so much, here's the problem that they're gonna have. Do those people get enough story? And that's what makes me nervous because you can have this and be like, oh, we're gonna see some. For all we know, the whole entire Harry Cavill thing could be like, psych, he's actually is the movie. This actual movie is gonna be, and it could be something like that. But it also could be an introduction to someone else that won't get a proper introduction. That's also the case. There's a nervousness that happens, and you have to trust the system because people are going to tear it apart, regardless of if it's the greatest thing they've ever seen or the worst thing that they've ever seen. They're going to analyze it, overanalyze it. His left foot was over here at the time, so it means that he was going through this particular time, and that's so and so now because the way he favored his right foot over his left foot. It means there's always going to be somebody
Yes.
that's going to be overanalyzing the situation. That's the normalcy of what happens with anything dealing with this comic book world that we're living in now that's come to life. And you're going to see it, you're going to figure out who does what, why they do it, but does it have the right story? You have James Gunn behind the helm. Can he pull off what he did for Guardians of the Galaxy? The second Guardians of the Galaxy movie I thought was great, but I didn't think it was, oh my God, the
Yep.
first Guardians of the Galaxy, that's how I felt. Oh my, this still to this day,
Exactly.
like I have never been able to look at that song. What does he sing when he does the dance off? It's always in my
Uh,
head, and yet now I'm sitting here talking to you, and I can't think of it, which is so horrible.
come.
Someday we'll play together. That's what he's doing. But no one has ever tried to break dance. I mean, like do the Running Man for that song. Never. Like, ooh, child, things. I'm like, think about it. It's a slow song and it's a sad song. And then he starts breakdancing and telling other people to break dance with him. That's never been done before. So you're gonna wonder what's he gonna do in part two. And part two didn't compare to part one. And everyone's trying to
No, it
talk about
didn't.
how like, okay, James Gunn's really got it, blah blah blah. But part two was all right. Part two wasn't like there are so many other Marvel movies that I love better than the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It's true. It's not on the top list of me. There's so many other ones that people thought were bad that I place higher. So it's going to be hard to figure out what's going to happen with a movie first that James Gunn didn't do because this is not his. He just said he saw it and he loved it. And it's going to be the setup of what's to come.
Uh-huh.
But I want to see what he can do besides Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one was written extremely well. We have
Yeah.
yet to see the third one yet. And that third one is going to determine if we are safe for what he's going to do for the DCEU. universe.
But if you like, but I did like Suicide Squad, and that was him. I don't know.
But was
I
it
like
great?
the Suicide Squad wasn't great. Wasn't really his issue. He didn't start it. This was him cleaning up the mess of the movie, and trying to do it with the same characters. And I think that the overall the cleanup of that was brilliant. Now future because of what he was able to do. And on top of that, piece of me was brilliant. I feel like that was a, as always, and I know we only have 5 minutes left. There's a couple things I wanted to hit on before we. Number one, I wanted to hit on the fact that DC has never with animated video games or shows. So point is of where I'm just like I don't think that HBO Max has anything to show. What we're all worried about are the James Gunn DC because DC movies just don't hit. So I think that's where I don't know. That's where the greatest of all of the fears. Then the other thing I wanted to touch on is the other big story that came out since the last time we talked. Gunn revealed that they asked him to start Superman movie back in August. But the issue this was before Henry Cavill came on to do his have you seen crap, I don't even know if I could talk about this Adam yet.
Have I seen what?
Black Adam.
Oh no, I have not seen Black Adam yet.
Okay, gotcha. Well, this was all before Henry Cavill found out he was going to be replaced. That they didn't want him anymore, and on to do this new Superman legacy story because he had mind and one of the fans asked, they were like, "Hey, you said that you were working on back in August," so they were just like at that point in time, the news hadn't broke that Henry Cavill. So were you working on Man of Steel 2, or were you working on supposed to have Henry Cavill, and were you working with him? And he said no. He said I thought I was working with Cavill, and then they dropped the bomb that he was not going to be a part of the thing. No. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. Said was he said no. He said at that time I was working on, and Cavill was not attached to it at all. It was different actors. So the Superman I was working on was not Cavill. So if the studio, that's what people are saying, are the ones that really did Henry Cavill. He wasn't going to be on board, but didn't actually tell him. In fact, announced, and he said it himself. They asked him to announce that he was going to be franchised, and then a month later fired him. And don't get why the DC now. I mean, I get it. It's new CEO. It's basically one guy tells you to announce it, and then the next guy comes in and says, so it just the whole thing is just really dirty. I just really hope Henry Cavill, of all people out of this whole situation, deserve it. I know we have a couple minutes left, so I just wanted to the Henry Cavill situation, and also, do you think that they have anything to work, or is it just movies that we need to be focused on?
No, shows come and go. I've never either you like a show or you don't like a show. It's gonna come and go as a fade. I'm a big fan of what you just said about it's gonna be the movies, because the movies have never hit the way they're supposed to. It just feels like the last good Superman was technically Christopher Reeve, And even towards the end of his movies, those got bad. And then they tried to reboot it, and that didn't work. And then they rebooted it again, and that didn't work. But I know our time is up, and I gotta stop. I guess my last comment is stop making Superman movies. It doesn't work. And they're gonna Superman. I've always felt should be a character that swoops in, does some saving, and then leaves. It's Superman. I gotta say this right before we leave. I don't watch Superman for Superman. I watch Superman for Clark Kent and Lois. I Superman is the end all be all, the most strongest being you could ever have. And no matter how many times you try and kill him, he comes back. And when he comes back, he's even stronger than he was before. You can't stop Superman. You can't kill Superman. So what's the point? If you can't do any of that, then that means you can't create a story strong enough to hold him. So put him in the background where he belongs and give him his glory. All the Clark stories have always been amazing. When he's at Superman, when he is actually Superman, he kicks so much butt. No one has a chance. They don't. And you'll see him fight, but you'll see him fight because he's learning how to get his power stronger. But when he does, you're done. Like you were always done. Why even try? Stop. Just stop. Take a break and put him in the background. That's the one thing I could probably say about Black Adam is, if I'm correct, I think the end credits or something, Superman is there, but that's it for like about what 30 seconds, maybe a minute. That's it, and I'm like, somebody finally did it right. And then on the end of Shazam, what? Why was that the end? The end of Shazam was awesome. Why? Because Superman was there holding a tray of a lunch because he was gonna have lunch with this kid. That was the end of Shazam, and that's what made it great. But when you do that, you get everybody hyped because he's that powerful. So stop. Just do all the other movies. And then they say we need. That's what I really enjoyed about Justice League, and I'm gonna end on that. Justice League was so good because Superman wasn't in it till the very end. If Superman had been in it from the very beginning trying to recruit people, everyone was like, why are you recruiting people? You can do this by yourself. You don't need us. Like, you just killed that big giant thing that none of us had a chance of killing. So, how about you just show up at the very end? Matter of fact, towards the end, at first, don't like us. And that was perfect. I don't know who y'all are. I don't like any of y'all. And I'm going to beat the crap out of all of y'all. And he proved that I could beat the crap out of all of y'all, which means that whoever is trying to hurt y'all, I can beat up as well by myself. Not even a contest. Just stop. So that's our time. James, once again, thank you so much for always bringing some love and joy into this locked and loaded stuff. I am gonna work on name changes. It's just gonna be DCEU for something, and then even though we're on episode 4, when I do episode 5, it'll be either the same name or another name, but it'll just be episodes, and we'll just talk about whatever. Because we're at the point now, it just needs to be conversations about all of stuff that we encompass, and I wanted us to just get started on this. We're on episode 4. It's gonna get bigger. It's gonna get stronger. We're gonna work on making sure that we can actually get the correct audio and things that we need. We're gonna save up and get Javis a laptop. It has to happen. Because what I want is to have an Ethernet connection, so that way everyone can really hear everything you bring to the table. Because to hear you say what you're saying and some of the words get cut off, it doesn't do justice of what you are. So, matter of fact, I'm gonna end this show right here, and then we're gonna have a personal conversation to figure some of this out. Thank y'all for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.